Hello everyone! Today is Create Day and this is our winning layout from last week when I did the flip through. So I thought maybe we would use a little bit of stenciling, a little bit of stamping, some summer photos, some sequins, and my kit for July from scrapbookingstore.com. Let's start with some stenciling. So this is just a sheet of white cardstock. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some Post-it tape and I'm gonna use this beautiful, beautiful stencil. So this stencil is from Christina Sorge's shop, redefinedcreative.com. She designs and cuts and sells these beautiful 12 by 12 stencils. So they are made for scrapbookers and they are fabulous. I'm going to use some Post-it tape to kind of just keep the stencil in place as I ink up some areas. So I'm going to take the design of the layout I'm scraplifting and I'm just going to flip it. This works a little bit better with the photos I want to use. And instead of a pattern paper, I'm going to create areas of color using this stencil. I'm going to use some Distress Oxide ink in Squeezed Lemonade, Worn Lipstick, and Shaded Lilac. And these three colors match the colors in the pattern paper perfectly. Now I'm not ink blending these because if I ink blended them, they would turn into mud. Some of them might blend okay, but for the most part, these aren't necessarily colors that are going to blend super well. I guess that they would blend. But I feel like I would end up with colors I don't really want. So I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of butt them up against each other, and that's kind of the cool part of having a stencil. You can really see where the color stops and starts, and so I can kind of create the two areas of my layout that are in the original layout and apply them here to add some pattern behind all of die stamped and die cut circles that we're going to create. Big reveal! So pretty, right? Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is stamp like a crazy girl. So now I have my Misty out and I have two sets of stamps. Both of them are from Old to New. One is the halftone circle stamp, and hold on, I'll check and see on what color the other one is. Not what color, what set. So the other one is called Trendy Circles, and it's also from Old to New. Pairing my stamps with my Catherine Polar ink, I have Hot Tub, Sweet 16, and I think that bright pink one is called Be Mine. And I'm going to go ahead and just stamp tons of circles. So for the Trendy Circles one, I stamped 2 in each color. You can see here how pretty they are. I don't have the coordinating dies with these, so these are going to need fussy cut. And then for the halftone circles, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Each of the circles in that stamp set, I'm going to go ahead and stamp them once so that I end up with 2 of each color of the stamps. And then I do have the coordinating dies that go with these particular stamps, so then I'm just going to go ahead and die cut them. Ooh, and then I totally forgot the limoncello ink. That's right. So it's Be Mine, Hot Tub, Sweet 16, limoncello, because I did do a ton of some yellow. And I just saw the yellow and went, wait, I didn't tell you about the yellow ink color. So now here are all of those beautiful stamped circles. There are the coordinating dies, and I'm going to go ahead and die cut the circles and fussy cut the circles. And then I also grabbed some of the pattern paper from the scrapbookingstore.com kit for July, and I'm going to go ahead and I die cut circles from some of those patterns as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and map my photos using these 2 gingham patterns. Just like in my original layout, I have one larger photo and one smaller photo. And I'm just going to place the smaller one over to the left or the larger one to the left and the smaller one to the right. In the original layout, the larger one is on the right and the smaller one is on the left. But you can see here the way my niece is sitting and the way that she is facing. I decided that I really did need to flip where the two embellishment clusters were on the page. This is by no means an exact scrap lift at all. In fact, I just kind of looked at the original layout, got an idea for how I had designed it, and then I put it aside and just went ahead and did my own thing. So right now I'm just deciding where I want these circles to be. I'm gonna kind of place them all around the layout. I want to make sure there's a nice spread of color, so I don't want a lot of the same colors all clustered together at different spots. I'm sorry if my voice sounds funny. I am allergic to grass pollen, which is kind of an unusual thing to be allergic to, but what it means is that some years I go an entire year without really having to worry about allergies, and this year they're kicking my butt. So I keep having to clear my throat because I have a really kind of scratchy, dry, yucky throat all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these circles kind of down where I want them to be. And you can see how I have some patterns and some of the stamped pieces. I really, really loved the colors in this month's scrapbooking store kit. And I was super duper excited when I started to put this layout together and realized like I had perfectly matching yellows, both in Distress Oxide inks and in stamping ink, and I had like the perfect matching pinks. I think that this layout certainly looks like they are made for each other. You can the inks and the kit, and then those beautiful sequins. So those sequins, aren't they stunning? They're from the new July release from Speakle Mom Scraps. So mine says melon ball on the packaging, but I think there was a mix-up somewhere. So online they might be switched, and they might be labeled as melon ball, but they could also be labeled as summer splash. So go by the pictures, not by maybe the wording. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some of the upgrades for this month, including this Pebbles die cut pack. I'm going to grab a couple of things. I'm going to audition a few. I just thought that there was a lot of really nice titling options in this die cut pack, so you don't need necessarily thickers or alphabet stickers. And so I'm actually going to find quite a few die cut pieces that I'm able to use to help tell my story and to create this layout with. So I went ahead and chose 3 different die cuts. They're circular ones. You can sense a little bit of a circle theme going on here. I adored circles even way back when, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm kind of choosing based on color. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and use the sticker of the unicorn floating. These aren't pool pictures, they're sandbox pictures, but I was okay with it. And there's ice cream that I'm going to use, and different stickers, and some chipboard pieces. So I chose a couple chipboard pieces I really like and wanted to use. I chose a couple of stickers I really liked and wanted to use. And now I'm just kind of popping some of those pieces up and creating some clusters of summertime icons. I just felt like I didn't need to have this be a very themed layout. The colors matched. This could just be a nice, it was a sunshiny day. We were outside. So kind of, and just, I have pictures of my niece in the sandbox. I have pictures of just her sitting there with her Juice, my youngest niece. There is a story that goes with these particular photos, but I also have 3 or 4 different pages to do about this day, so I'm not super concerned with finding journaling to add journaling. There wasn't journaling on my initial page, so I could have added it, but I just kind of went with the layout design the way it was, which is totally fine because I took about 1,000 pictures this day. What happened was my sister and I are still staying away from each other. She lives near me, but because of her husband's job, he works in a hospital, and my husband's job and the rising coronavirus cases, we're kind of still staying away from each other. But this weekend, they had to go to Pittsburgh, and it was actually safer for them to leave my nieces and nephews with me instead of trying to take them to Pittsburgh. So I got to spend the entire day with my nieces and nephews. And then, of course, they went to Pittsburgh, came home, and then they were around me when they picked up their kids. They were around their kids when they picked up their kids. So our thought process was, if we are going to get sick, we are going to get sick. There's no way around it. So then the next day we were like, well, let's have a cookout because we had to be around each other. So, it just, anyway, so we had a cookout the next day, and that was actually the last time I saw any of my nieces and nephews except on Zoom. And now we, of course, are back to not seeing each other except on Zoom, but that's okay. We had this one little kind of weekend reprieve since my sister and her husband had to travel, and that's okay. So I live in Pittsburgh, or outside Pittsburgh, which is right now there's like a whole surge of COVID-19 cases. So my family is back in kind of lockdown, and if we leave the house, we wear masks because I'm just not interested. I don't want to get sick at all. So that's the story behind these pictures, and we'll do a layout that is more journal heavy at a later date. But for now, I am just adding some little sequins. You can see how quick and easy this layout came together. I could kind of chit chat with you guys because there wasn't a whole lot of explaining to do. And there is the finished page. I will be back next Sunday with another share layout, or we're going to share one of my older albums with you, and then we'll get you guys voting again for another create video at the end of the month. Have a fabulous day. Bye.